Hey folks, hope you're having a great Monday wherever you are. I don't have time to practice centering prayer. I hear that from people. And let me give you some tips or advice on this. The first thing I'll say is I'm going to argue I think you do have the time, and I think what you'll find if you give it a shot and find the time is that centering prayer has a way of giving you back time. Because really, one fruit that I've discovered from centering prayer is it allows me to be present to the task that I need to focus on. So without my centering prayer practice, I'm not as focused, I'm not as present. So even if I'm extremely busy, I stop and do both sits, and the result is I'm more productive. So it's really a paradox if you think about it. You're taking time away from what you need to do your sit, and you're getting much more time back because during centering prayer we let go and open to the presence of God, open to the present moment. And the same thing happens as a result of our practice. We are more present for our daily tasks. And I have found that I'm much more productive because of my centering prayer sits. Because I'll argue my centering prayer sits give me back time and make me more productive. So let's talk about this for a second. And I get it. We all live busy lives, and you might have a baby to contend with or kids to contend with, and that makes centering prayer difficult. So what you need to do is you need to take a look at your life, be creative, and fit the sits in where they belong. So if you have little ones and you can't get away and do a centering prayer sit, when they're sleeping is one time you can do it. If your spouse or significant other perhaps can take the children for 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes while you do your centering prayer sits, negotiate that with your spouse or significant other. So that's what you need to do. You really need to take a look at your life, place your sits where they belong, negotiate with your spouse or significant other, and let them watch the children at that time, or do your sits when people are not the children are not at the house, or when the children are sleeping. And you can also be creative with your sits. You can do sits. I've done sits in my car. You can do them in your garage, inside your car if you have a garage. You can do them in your basement. I do them at doctor's offices, sometimes in the parking lot before I enter. You can do them in doctor's offices. People don't need to know what you're doing. So I'm just going to suggest, listen to what your life tells you and place your sits where they belong. And then as life changes, move your sits. And I had to do that. And I've done that through the years. At one point, my sits were first thing in the morning, and then second sit was in the evening after dinner. Then I shifted the second sit and made it right before lunch because I realized I needed an earlier sit than that later sit. And I needed that second sit to get me through the second half of the day. Then there was a period of time where work was really hectic and I needed more interior silence. So I flexed my sits and did three, but shortened them to about 12, 13 minutes each, and continued with my morning sit, the first thing I do when I get up, one before lunch, and then 1, 2 to 3 hours after that. And then when things got better, when work got better and calmed down, I shifted back, and I shifted back to the two sits. The standard once, the one that I do first thing in the morning, and then the one right before lunch. So the bottom line is, listen to what your life tells you, place your sits where they belong, be creative and flexible with where you do them, shift and flex if you need to, if your life is telling you you need more than two sits. and negotiate with other people that you live with to help you out if there's children involved and you still want to do your sits. You'll either have to negotiate with them and have them take the children for a short period of time, or do your sits while the children are doing something else and or sleeping. So that's all. I highly encourage you though to find the time and the place to do your sits. I've discovered that the sits have a wonderful way of giving me back time. And as I said, it seems like a paradox, but the time I take to do my centering prayer sits gives me back time because I'm really more present as a result of my centering prayer sits. And I consider it really, I'm sitting with God and then I'm getting up and walking with God and partnering with God on what I need to do the rest of the day. And then when my interior reservoir runs dry, I take my second sit, which, as I said, now is right before my lunch. And then it just helps me partner with God for the second half of the day and get done what I need to get done. So I hope you find that helpful. If you think to yourself, I don't have the time to practice centering prayer, I'm going to argue that you do, and you probably can find where your sits best fit. And I think you'll discover how wonderful and powerful they are and how much they'll help you get through the day. Let me know if you have any questions or need any help. You can put a comment in or reach out in Facebook Messenger or even send me a message on my contact page of silenceteaches.com. Hope everybody has a great rest of the day and much love to all of you. Take care.